weird. Wonder why it said microphone was muted. I'm pretty sure I was still hearing myself. Mic check 1 2. Yeah, whatever seems to be working. Oh, let's see if this does an intro roll if I stop touching things for a minute here. Well, alright. I guess let's press some buttons. Nope. License agreements. Playability, that's a new one. Hmm. Boy, I like having a lot of HUD information available, but some of that is contingent on recognizing what the icons actually are. There's enough status effect stuff in these games that sometimes I have trouble knowing just what icon means what. So I don't know how useful detailed would be. Yeah, we'll have it on. I guess if I don't recognize anything, I can always turn it off. Hopefully I'll just learn. Probably don't need battle log for this. These are more action games. If I was playing something like Baldur's Gate 1, I'd want the battle log on so I could see how hard the random number generator was screwing me over. Let's go with C. I like a good toggle for menus. I guess we can leave detailed hints on for now. Draw effects, PS5. I should hope it can handle everything. We'll see how messy it gets with no effect simplification. It might be an MMO situation where if you've got all the blasts pinging off all over the place, you can't see anything, but we'll find out. I'm not entirely sure what they mean by unison arts. I've never seen that verbiage before in the previous games, so I might have to learn what that is first. Also not sure what they mean by combat fidelity. EBD should just be evade. That's simple enough. I appreciate a good fixed mini-map. It saves you from having to try to turn your brain the same time you're turning the camera. Yeah, all map icons are good. Yeah, probably don't need that. Let's go type B on that. I assume that's probably like AoEs on the ground. We'll leave that on all the time. Let's dip in. You know, I'm fairly good at these games, or at least I have been. Well, we'll give it a shot on hard. We'll see what happens.
我が道の行く先には栄光を、その背には屍を、あらゆる剣も槍も、我が身を貫くことはない。上昇の戦士の名はドロシー・イザヤ・エリスパ。この祈りでかの者は守護を得る。最悪の神は笑わない。かの者は常に勝利。その時、私の頭の中には一つの記憶が浮かんでいた。人が死の淵に足を踏み込んだ時、それまでの人生の記憶がたくさん思い出されるという話を聞いたことがある。でも私の頭の中に浮かんでいるのはたった一つの出来事だけだった。まだ母さんが生きていた頃の記憶だ。私は尋ねた。世界が終わるのと自分が死ぬの、何が違いがあるのと。世界というものは私が認識して初めて私にとって世界になる。私が死ねば私が見ている世界もおしまい。私が死ねば私は世界が見られない。だからそれは世界の死と同じなのではと、そう尋ねる私に母さんは言った。母さんが死んでもその思い出はドロシーの中で生きてる。父さんの思い出も母さんの中で生きてる。自分が死んでも命はそこで終わりじゃないんだよ。決して見えずとも続いていくものが確かにある。世界はそうして自分が消えた後も続いていくんだと。母さんの言うことが本当なら、私の命も誰かの中で生き続ける。きっと無駄じゃない。母さん、もし そばで見ていてくれるのなら応答してください。母さん、私、あなたに誇れる生き方ができたでしょうか。立派に生きた？もう頑張らなくてもいい？母さん、応答してください。応答してください。
Oh, good. Blocked scenes. Gotta love it. Like, here's your big anime intro, and by the way, you're not allowed to broadcast it. I can tell you there's some rad J-pop going on, and some excellent animation happening. It's very dramatic. There's probably a bunch of spoilers in here too, because Japan loves to do that with their intros. But since you don't know what you're looking at, it's not really spoilers. Alright, winding down now. Bandai Namco's about to give us control back. Oop, title screen, there you go. Yay! Finally allowed to do the thing again.
Kirito, どうかしたの?
So there's gonna be a lot of Japanese exposition. I'll try to kind of summarize or synopsize as we go along. Hey, Interceptor, welcome to the party. Did you see the big anime intro that you weren't allowed to see? Because heaven forbid we're allowed to, broadcast certain cutscenes, even though we can show the rest of the game. Japanese exposition in your anime game? I know it's ridiculous. You'd think it'd be like Scottish exposition, something that actually made sense. No. To give you some idea of what you're looking at, this is Sword Art Online, which is the tale of a 14-year-old Japanese gamer boy and his 13-year-old sister who's stacked like Christina Hendricks for some reason.
ああ、いや、なんでもないよ。
私はまた形の良い木の棒でも見つけたのかと思いました。
アリス、俺のことどれだけ子供だと思ってるんだ？さすがにもうそういうことは。いや、すごくいい棒だったらわからないけど。
Yes, PlayStation's fond of blocking things. or companies use Sony to block things. I'm not sure what the difference is. So I was gonna like do the first game, but then the newest one just came out on the 5th. I was like, screw it, let's just jump straight in. Guessing you're probably not familiar with SAO. It's kind of an isekai. It's a bit like Dot Hack, where they're stuck in a massively multiplayer online game. Except they're kind of not stuck anymore. Like the first arc was them being like trapped in it, and like if you got killed in the game, the VR headset that you were in would cook your brain because it was a microwave. They've been doing a bunch of stuff since then, but for some reason these people all keep dipping into VR MMOs even though it tried to kill them. Some kind of trauma response. Don't know what's up with that. But Kirito is our Mary Sue protagonist. He's just super good at the virtual reality video games. He's got the high reaction speed. And all of his friends like to give him crap for being so young, even though most of them are pretty young themselves. But everybody kind of treats Kirito like a little kid, even though he's hyper competent. He's also extremely humble and self-effacing and heart of gold and just the most saccharine Star Warsy character possible.
キリトがそう思わなくても周りの人はもうそういう目で見ているよ。
はい。お前は武作法者ですが、剣士としての腕前は一流。英雄と呼ばれるにふさわしい行いもしてきました。もっとしっかりしてください。
It is worth noting that Alice and Yu-Gi-Oh here are artificial intelligences. They're like singularity level self-aware AI.
厳しいな。それにしても出会った頃か。懐かしい。アリス、ユージよ。歩きながら昔話でもするか？
Sure, let's reminisce.
俺、桐ヶ谷和人はある日突然アンダーワールドと呼ばれるこの仮想世界に閉じ込められた。アンダーワールド、俺がテストダイバーとして関わっていた企業ラースが開発している次世代型フルダイブ実験機 STL ソウルトランスレーション。
Yeah, this is a catch-up on the most recent arc.
なぜこの世界に閉じ込められているのか、前後の記憶もあやふやなまま、俺はここからログアウトできる手段を探しさまよっている。幸運なことにこの世界で相棒と呼べる少年と出会った。苦楽を共にし互いに剣技を高め合う日々。しかし日常と呼べる日々はある日突然終わり、まるでそれが運命であったかのように闘争の中に身を置くことになった。今まで何度も俺を救ってくれた仲間の登場、新しい出会いで生まれた絆、みんなの力のおかげで数々の戦いに打ち勝ってきた。未だ現実世界に帰ることはできていないが、たとえこの世界が仮想世界であっても俺にとってはここで過ごした日々は現実だ。
キリト、昔話もいいですが、もうすぐ目的地の東の大門です。おじさまが待っておいでですよ。さあ、行きましょう。
So he basically, like, after the events of the first arc, where they were just trapped in a game, like the Japanese equivalent of like CIA spooks got a hold of Kirito, and he's basically been working psyops projects and whatnot related to like internet technologies, specifically VR, for the Japanese government. Largely naively, like he's got a handler who has pretty much conned him into believing that he's just like helping test newer and newer VR tech, but in reality his handler is essentially like working on military grade stuff and using Kirito as both a guinea pig and like a troubleshooter for when things go wrong. It's like anytime they have like the Fatal Bullet arc, like the third story arc was essentially like some terrorists doing murders in VR, and they sent Kirito in as a troubleshooter, more or less. But this most recent world that he's hanging out in is like experimental military project to try and like do a bottom-up learning AI for military hardware. Yeah, debug this literally. No. Alice, our lady in the golden armor, is essentially a super AI with bottom-up learning that was designed to be put into autonomous military hardware. I don't know why you would want self-aware, thinking military drones shooting Predator missiles at things. Seems like you're asking for Skynet, but what do you know? Anime governments tend to just be short-sighted and kind of evil.
Now, 現実世界の高校生ではなくアンダーワールドの剣士だ。ここにいる人々のために剣を振るいたい。たとえどんなことがあっても。
They all like get really adapted to the worlds that they're in. Like you play 14, you kind of, if you play an MMO long enough, you get in there pretty hard, but they were trapped in the first game for a full 2 years. And when you're like 14, 2 years is like forever. They were essentially just like living their lives inside there. Well, yeah, here's the explanation of the bottom-up AI.
ラースの人たちが求めている優れた人工高適応型知的自立存在はある名称が付けられています。アーティフィシャル・レイビル・インテリジェント、サイバネイテッド・イグジスタンス、通称アリス。すべてはこのアリスを生み出すためだけに用意されました。このアンダーワールドすべてがです。菊岡さんたちが言うには聖号騎士となったアリスさん、アリスシンセシソサーティが候補として該当するそうです。
キリト、このことはまだアリスに言うべきではない。わしとアスナ、そしてお前だけの間でしばしとどめよう。
The Jack Nicholson policy of don't tell people the truth.
たとえどんなことがあっても
She is.
俺
That's
人々を守るた
the
めに
manifestation of like the AI director. It's like the it's weird. I want to compare it to Left 4 Dead. Weirdly enough, Left 4 Dead, in spite of being not at all an MMO, has what Valve referred to as an AI director, which was like an adaptive program that would change the level based on your actions, like how fast you were going or how much damage you had taken. The AI director would like put more resources out for you if you weren't doing well, or they'd throw more enemies at you if you were progressing really quickly. The little scholar girl is Cardinal, which is essentially the game's AI director, but is also a therapy program. like Cardinal in the very first Sword Art Online game had that dual role of kind of being like the operating system for the game, but it also had like a subroutines that were like mental health therapy programs. Because the first game was a nefarious mad science experiment. Like the guy that made the game jumped in it and got trapped in it with everyone else because it was essentially a big social experiment, like one of the Fallout games vaults. You know, he wanted to see what people would do when they were stuck in this virtual world, and it was essentially their lives now, complete with the real consequence of death. So he put in these therapy subroutines into the operating system to, I mean, one, just typical therapy stuff for people, but two, I assume also to just kind of monitor all the psychological responses, because I think that's really what he was interested in, was seeing how people would respond to just having to live in a virtual world as though it was their only world. But she's manifested as that little nerd girl in this. Because I think the way that it's gone is like pretty much every VR game since SAO has been based off of that original cardinal coding.
私の動きについてこられますか？
あ、言ったな。じゃあ聖号騎士のアリスさんにいろいろご教授いただこうか。
And here comes the classic, hey, let's spar so we can give you a tutorial. Which I appreciate. Alice may kick my butt. It's been like a year since I played the last one.
Ah.
But yeah, so people in this will pretty well act like the real world is kind of a little bit strange to them because they spend so much time in VR. One, from being stuck in a game for 2 full years, but two, with the underworld, which is what this one is referred to. They have a time dilation coded into it. So I think at the beginning of this arc, Kirito's only been like inside this program for like a week or two, but the time dilation in game makes it seem like he's been in here for like 7 or 8 years, you know, something like that. Alright. Mash square to do chain combos. Oh, I like they even say mash the attack button. I mashed so hard I made a special move come out. Who are you calling stiff? Okay, gotta remember, not playing Dark Souls. And so perfect dodges will give you a slowdown you can counterattack off of. The window for perfect dodges and blocks is pretty generous in these. And I don't necessarily need to dodge side to side. You can just press it in place and he'll do a forward dodge. You've got invincibility frames on that stuff. So you don't need to actually clear the attack area. You just gotta time it. I am getting messages on my phone because I am popular. Oh my gosh. My best friend slept... Wait, 10 p.m. or 8 a.m.? She either slept a really long time or not nearly long enough. Now we get to learn about finish arts. Break gauge. Okay, we're doing guard break. So just slam on people until they guard break. Combat in this is fairly robust. Like, it's action MMO style, but they've got good combo strings. Like, it's not, well, it's not Devil May Cry necessarily with the timing, but it's got all of the launchers and chain combo skills together and whatnot. When you get good at it, you can really style on people. Seems like they might have automated even more of this. To a certain degree, they have had what fighting game guys would call chain combos, where you just slam on the same button over and over, and it will automatically execute a combo for you. So, like the previous games, you're able to string together a series of normal hits that will automatically... Oh, you're fine, Interceptor. I'm just explaining nonsense. So you're able to string together normal hits into a skill. at the end. Like, if you just keep mashing square, that's the way that it's been. And then you yourself would have to manually input additional skills to keep your combo going. So it'd be like 3 regular hits, then automatically into a skill. Then from there you have to start manually inputting your skills to string them together. This, unless I'm seeing it wrong, there's a lot more automation going on here, where I was just mashing on square and it went into the first skill, went into break state, automatically did the launcher, automatically did a finisher. I don't know just how much that's going to be a thing. That was a good tutorial.
Yeah.
Good job on following basic instructions.
腕はなまっていないようですね。それでは東の大門へ向かいましょう。
あのね。
It's worth noting these games have really good atmosphere. Like, the soundtracks are always solid, and I like the visual style. I'm not a big aesthetic guy. Artists go crazy when they talk to me because I'm like, it's a painting, whatever. But I really like SAO's general world feel. Okay, quest markers, save points, vendors, yada yada. And at least most of their symbology appears to have not changed. I won't get completely lost. War never changes. Save, unlocking fast travel. You know, I wonder if that was... There were certain, like, save pillars in the previous ones that you couldn't do fast travel to. I wonder if they were always broken tipped like that, or if that's new for this. That's a good little bit of visual design. Eastern Gate, but is all quiet on the western front, I wonder. Okay, we can jump. We can praise. I can sing. His boldness is inspiring. running's a little floaty. Wonder. Camera distance. Can I back that out? Yeah. 6 meters? Yeah, I think that'll feel a little better. Third-person games, camera is always a tricky subject. It might get a little annoying constantly sword swiping at things when I'm trying to talk to people. That girl. Love Japan and its use of that person. Like, you can't just say their name or maybe describe them. This guy can describe the big sturdy pile of bricks, but the girl is just that girl. So this guy's name is Yam. Who names their kid Yam?
Yeah.
No. Don't. You had me going for a second. I have a cousin who's named Apple, so I wouldn't put it past people. Granted, I think I think he's named Milo, but I'm pretty sure Milo is just apple in French. Which, I guess, a lot of names are just a mundane object in a foreign language, but still. I mean, let's put it this way. I think my aunt was under the impression that it was just, like, French for apple. My aunt could be wrong. This palm. Well, M-I-L-O. What's Milo? See if you can find anything on that. You find a beautiful braided hair ornament. Oh good, we found DNA evidence. That's gonna be useful in this virtual medieval setting. Okay. Yeah, I don't know. Maybe Milo is like a specific variety of apple in French. Or maybe my aunt is just crazy. And by maybe, I mean definitely. She's my family, I can say what I want. Stumbled across somebody's war manual. The item's lingering emotional resources. What are we doing here? Whipping up a little witchcraft, I guess. Got hairs from a barrette and an emotional war manual. Brought from multiple sources. Slavic, dear or beloved. I mean, you do what you want. That was so long, I'm gonna have to go to my phone to read the rest of it. Latin, miles, meaning soldier. Greek, milos for you, flower. I do like me some etymology. Linguistics is fascinating. Much better than mathematics. Anyone who tries to tell you that mathematics is just a form of language is a jackass. You're a jackass. Oh, I'm sorry, I didn't mean it. You're a beautiful ray of sunshine. I'm not very good at complimenting people. Wait, were you in the math program, or they were in the math program and you were just friends with them? Okay. Math nerds. Ugh. Save early, save often. Hey, alright, here's our anime harem. Because you know it's gotta exist. I'm surprised we're getting them all at once like this. Now it is worth noting that obviously the whole purpose of being here is to figure out who your waifu is. But within the story's canon, Asuna is Kirito's actual waifu. But she's not my waifu. She's a good waifu, just not my waifu. She can be your waifu if you want, but she is Kirito's waifu.
Yeah.
Lisbeth, who's not on screen at the moment. I'll let you know when she is. Pink hair on the right. Lisbeth is by far the best girl. You know, I should qualify that a little bit. My actual waifu, I will not punch. I don't know who invited you here, because it wasn't me, so you're just going to have to live with me saying waifu. And speak for yourself. Gosh darn it, don't make your waifu talk for you. Anyway, Klein is actually my favorite, but he's a dude, so you know how that is. Piggybacking off the same accounts. It's just weird, man. It's almost like y'all's live together or something. Next you're gonna tell me you got a shared bank account. have to apologize if my microphone quality is garbage. I am just running straight off of a Razer Kraken headset. I don't have my Yeti mic plugged in because I just wanted to get this done. Not bad, but not great. I have to keep it away from my prodigious mustache and beard, otherwise it gets super scratchy.
Ah.
As long as you didn't have problems with your mustache and beard. Lisbeth.
ちょっといい？
Liz is the resident blacksmith. In the original SAO, that was her main role. She's also a blunt weapons specialist, but her primary role in the first arc was just as blacksmith support. She made Kirito's gear that wasn't just drops. Any crafting that he had done, he did through Liz. Because she's pals with Asuna, and Kirito met Asuna first, and then they just like, hey, here's my blacksmith friend. You know how it goes. A master hammer user in the life of any party. She's smithed for Kirito before. It's almost like the game and I know what we're talking about. So yeah, I think I mentioned before that Kirito's was in this program for like a week. He got stuck. I think there was like a power surge or something that messed with his headset, and the poor guy went into a coma, caught in here. And everybody else caught wind of it somehow. I forget if his Japanese CIA handler equivalent reached out to Asuna, or if she reached out to him and was like, hey, where's my husband, you creepy, suspicious government weirdo. But everybody figured out that Kirito was stuck in here, and they all volunteered to join him. Because SAO is big on camaraderie, power, friendship, etc., etc. Silica. Despite her age, she always gives 110%, idolizes Kirito for saving her. So this story arc, I want to say, is like 3 years after the first one. So Kirito was like 14 to begin with, he's 17 now. Most of the other characters are the same age as him. Silica, who is in the purple all the way on the right. Not sure how we got talking to her and not Leafa here, but she was younger than everybody else in SAO. She was like 11 when she got trapped in the death game, so she's probably 14 as of now. Because Japanese teenagers, for some reason, are the most competent people in the world. It's well known that as you mature, you become grossly incompetent and just have no idea what you're doing. Leafa is Kirito's sister. She also seems to have a crush on him at times, which is weird. Yes, they use the adopted excuse, but I mean still. Yeah, I will give the author credit that after doing, like, Leafa didn't show up in the first arc, she showed up in the second. The author, since having published that, kind of it publicly expressed regret on doing the weird sister dynamic. It was kind of like, yeah, probably didn't need to do that. Which is the only time that I've ever heard anyone even walk that back at all. Usually they just dive in head first and are shameless about it.
どうも
Shinon should be Punch's favorite character, because she's the gun lady. Hey, look, man, it's not awkward to... nah, I can't even finish that joke. That's not even gonna try. So Shinon was kind of the secondary protagonist of the third arc, where they went into a modern gun-based game. She's a sniper. In the fantasy realms, she uses a bow instead of a rifle. Normally, she likes to roll around with like a 50 caliber anti-material rifle. But I guess a longbow will do in a pinch. That store there? What store where? You're the person standing behind the counter with all the food on it. No, they're not going to let me do any shopping just yet. Too early in the game. What about just basic items? Nope. Okay. Hey, it's the commander. So, like, a lot of the people that we're going to be talking to here are actually AI. Like Alice and Yu-Gi-Oh! That are with me here. Like, the harem back there are all real people. Alice and Yu-Gi-Oh! Are AI. These two are AI.
よう来たか。キリト、ユージオ、それにアリスの嬢ちゃん。
待ってたわよ、3人とも。
これがみんなが言ってた。
ええ、ダークテリトリー側からの攻撃です。大門崩壊が早まるわけでもないのですが、この緊張状態への圧力とでも言いましょうか。
So this whole program was like set up to try to like crystallize a super AI. And they did that by, like, making it as much of a solidified reality as possible. but they set it up so that it's like a kingdom surrounded by enemy territory. So like outside of natural barriers and gates is the quote-unquote dark territory, which is populated by all the orcs and beastmen and typical fantasy bad guys. And part of the scheme initially was to like do a final system stress test by having an invasion of monsters from the dark territory. And so that's what we're dealing with now. Like the previous game in the series was like the matriarch of the society was like an evil, self-aware AI that was conspiring with some people in the real world to mess with the project. We got her sorted out, but now we're having to deal with the sort of like built-in Armageddon stress test where all the monsters are going to just collapse in on the kingdom.
お前たちが力を貸してくれると言った以上、現在の状況も包み隠さず見せた方がいいと思いまして、それで連れてきたのです。戦争が起きればあそこから幾千、いえ幾万もの敵が現れ人海を蹂躙します。今は大門が受けている攻撃を私たちが浴びることでしょう。たくさんの命が失われ大地は戦火に抱かれる。それを見届ける覚悟がありますか？
覚悟ならいつだってあるさ。
It's worth noting that Kirito's seen a lot of shit for a 17-year-old.
お前は巻き込まれているだけに過ぎないのですよ。
巻き込んでもらわないと困る。知らないところで傷つかれるより巻き込まれた方が俺はいいんだよ。友達を、アリスを守れないだろ。
うん、キリトの言う通りだ。最前線で戦うのは聖号騎士だしね。背中は任せて。僕も同じ気持ちだよ、アリス。
揃いも揃って大バカ者ですね。けれど私はいい友人を持ちました。ありがとう、キリト。ユージを。
Power of friendship.
実際暗黒海側と戦ったら勝敗はどうなると予測されてるんだ。
俺たち聖号騎士がいるんだから軍配はこちらだと言いたいところだが、戦争となるとそうは言えねえな。
はい、我ら聖号騎士の突出したこの力は闇の軍勢ごときに負けるはずがありません。しかし暗黒界には人海側にはない圧倒的な兵の数が存在します。
Numbers game. The Integrity Knights they keep mentioning were like society was it was set up as a theocracy. Like the matriarch was essentially Lady Pope. And Alice and Berkuli, the blue-haired commander here, are both Integrity Knights, which was a holy order who acted both to defeat monsters but also enforce the law. Part of that initial plot was how strict the laws were. And like part of it was like actually coded into the program, but some of it was just codified like any society would have laws. So any character, I guess I'll refer to him as, that was capable of actually like breaking the coded law would get scooped up by an integrity knight and dragged back to the Lady Pope to be messed with. And that's actually how people became integrity knights. It was part of the process of trying to like develop this super AI, which again, why you would want to take an AI that was capable of breaking its coding parameters and put it into a combat vehicle is really beyond me. Hang on, there's a small child. Don't commit a war crime. This is actually where the game started, before you showed up. Did a little in media res. So if heterochromia is when one eye is a different color from the other, what is it when your eyes are inconsistent coloring inside themselves? I mean, in this case, other than wacky character creation options. Yeah, time to face tank. That's what I'm good at. I assume you're someone famous.
俺たちを助けようとしてくれている。そしてあれを倒さないとおちおちかで合ってるか。
Let's have a whole conversation while this thing snarls at us.
助立ち感謝します。黒髪の剣士、名前をお聞きしても。
キリト、君の名前は後で教えてくれ。
Fight now, talk later, please. Alright, hit points, skill points, usual stuff. Yeah, this is what I was talking about with manually chaining skills together. Yeah, I still got it. Counter sword skill. Okay, yeah. I didn't use the counter skills too much in the previous game. They're a little hard to use. A little bit too situational for me to want to really break them out that often. There was one specific one that was like a parry that you had to like activate it and then flick left or right towards an incoming attack. That was a directional attack, and it's like getting that all set up is a little bit of a pain in the ass when you can just be hammering out your damage rotation. So, okay, use a bullet skill, Black Howling Assault. Square, gotcha. Getting the timing on him is always a little tricky. We've got Dark Souls 2 levels of wind up. There we go. Alright, and there's lock on. Does standing X still do a launcher? Standing X does not appear to do a launcher. Okay, got it. May have been a little too good. Always love it when tutorials want you to do things in a certain sequence and you kind of skip ahead of them. They're like, now, you didn't do it step by step. Okay, downed. Alright, I need to fill up the break gauge, I think is what they want. Yep. So just square goes into launcher now. That used to be X. Skill connect. Oh man, there I go doing it again. They just want me to press square and I'm doing EX skill connects. And now I'm actually allowed to fight it. So, doing regular attacks builds back up your skill points, allowing you to do more manual skills. So there's a little resource balancing between using your high damage attacks and then needing to recharge your bar. For you FF14 players, you really do have, like, damage rotations. That wasn't even a spongy enemy. Like, it gets way worse. And I say way worse, but I don't actually view it as a bad thing.
人海軍の皆様、突然の訪問を謝罪します。
Some of the sponginess there was just the tutorializing, you know, making it invincible. But, like, you get, you know, raid boss style fights where you're really hammering on things, but I kind of like it because, I don't know, Interceptor plays 14. I don't know if you play 14. But, like, doing your damage rotation in an MMO like 14 is kind of a passive sort of like typing on your keyboard kind of thing. It's just like 1, 2, whatever. The way that this works is a little more actiony. Like it's somewhere between an MMO and like a Devil May Cry, where you need to, you know, do your skill rotation, but there's timings involved on getting the skills to connect to maximize that damage. Like if you miss time an input, it drops the combo like it was a fighting game. And then you have aspects like the launching. You know, enemies take more damage when they're launched. There's specific anti-air moves that you can do when something's launched. And then there's follow-up statuses from launch, which is like down, and they take even more damage when they're in down state. And so it's like a way more active version of that MMO damage rotation.
災禍となるものを引き連れてしまったこともお詫びする。
That's probably a good comparison. It's been a while since I played any Xenoblade, but that also had a more active MMO style. So that's a pretty good comparison. You don't necessarily have to rely as much on party members for getting those status effects. I remember Xenoblade 1, you were really having to like get different characters to activate this different, you know, you had to like do the flanked thing and then get somebody to like topple, and then somebody else needed to do the down skill from the topple state. You can kind of do it all yourself in this. Like the other people are there and you can work off of your party members, but it's not as reliant upon that. It's just like your party members are just another way to continue maximizing your output.
召喚は 暗黒騎士団より派遣された使者ドロシー・イザヤ・エリシバ。聖号騎士の長であるベルクーリ・シンセシスワンにお目通り願いたい。
ダークテリトリー、またの名を暗黒界。
Darkness.
俺がいる場所、人海からすると長年睨み合いをしている敵対勢力の住まう土地だ。2つの土地を分断している東の大門が崩壊すると情勢は一気に戦争へと傾く。現状はもはや崩壊を待っている状態だ。
See, this is why you need to pay your taxes, so that you can keep up the infrastructure. Otherwise, the orcs will invade.
そんな中、敵地から少女が2人やってきた。しかも人海軍の総大将にあたるベルクーリに合わせろというのだから俺たちは混乱していた。
Kirito has forgotten that he's in an anime, and that the one that looks older might not actually be older.
ユージオ、もしかして俺を探してたか？
うん、キリトを連れてくるようにってカーディナルさんに言われたんだ。これからあの暗黒騎士の子の処遇を決める左門会議だって。それで探してたんだよ。ねえキリト、小さい女の子の方は大丈夫だった？
まあサライのことか。今監視付きだけど天幕で休ませてる。疲れてたみたいで飯食ったら寝ちゃったよ。
サライって言うんだね。よかった、拘束されてないんだ。昔のアリスのことがあったからちょっと心配で。
あ、大丈夫だ。ああいったことはさせないさ。暗黒騎士の子ドロシーだっけか。ドロシーと離れ離れが嫌だって泣くもんだからなだめるのが大変でさ。かわいそうだったな。
I mean, if I'd been captured by a bunch of gamers, I'd be pretty scared too.
捕虜扱いとはいえね。僕も後で様子を見に行くよ。じゃあ少し歩くことになるけど出発しようか。場所は作戦本部だよ。
Gamers are weird.
いや、
Wait, we're having a trial? What's... I thought they requested parlay. Why are we putting them on trial? No one expects the Spanish Inquisition, I guess. So I expect this will open up at some point into more of a sandbox situation. They usually tend to railroad you with story for a few hours at the beginning of these. Like, I want to say the the tutorial, quote unquote, kind of like prologue section of the previous game was like 10 hours long. It was basically a game in and of itself, and like covered basically the entire manga story was covered in like the 10-hour tutorial opening of the previous game before you actually got into like the game proper.
"わしもそう言ったんじゃが、怯えている者がいるのも確かでな。暗黒怪人を初めて見る者も多い。
So we're all pansies, is what you're telling me.
暗黒怪人と言ったって俺たちとそう変わらないじゃないか。カーディナル、こんなの
なんだこりゃ、情けねえ。人海のど真ん中で武器一つ持ってねえ娘を寄ってたかって怖いってか。
Okay, so who cuffed her up to begin with then, if like everyone in charge here is against that? Stacia is the local goddess.
大の大人がガン首揃えて何やってんだ。いいか、外すぞ。
ありがとうございます。
いや、こちらこそ非礼を浴びる。
Domo arigato, Mr. Roboto.
早速始めようや。何の用があって人海に来たのか話してくれ。
承知いたしました。改めまして、召喚は暗黒界の十行が一人、暗黒騎士団団長ビクスル・ウルシャスターの名代として参りました。ドロシー・イザヤ・エリシバと申します。暗黒界は現在十行をそれぞれの長とする暗黒軍を編成し、人海との決戦を今か今かと待ちわびています。
We're super stoked for big time war.
肥沃な大地と安定した気候を持つこの場所を我が物にせんと。
そして貴殿はその敵対する土地にやってきた。一体何のために？わざわざそれを聞かせたかったとでも？
人海との戦争は我ら暗黒海側の総意ではありません。中には対戦の流れを止めようとする者たちがいます。召喚もまたその一人です。
ざれ言。一体どれほどの年月を互いに憎しみ合っているか知らぬわけでもなかろうに。
So there's dissenting opinions in the enemy ranks.
ああ、デュソルバート様の言う通りだ。今さら何を言っている。人海とダークテリトリーの間には血塗られた歴史がある。人海人がどれほど殺されたか貴様には分かるまい。ここにいる兵士たちの家族すらも命を落としておるのだ。貴様も人海の戦士を死に至らしめた者の一人のはず。どの口が。
召喚の母親も人海の戦士に撃たれて死んでいます。
We killed her mom.
それは。
皆同じ経験をしています。だからこそこれ以上無駄な血を流したくないと思うのはおかしいことでしょうか。ひとたび戦が起きれば踏みにじられるのは力なき民です。幼かった召喚が母を失ったように親を失う子が大量に出るでしょう。聖号騎士殿は 人海の子らにそんな思いをさせたいのですか？どうかご一考いただきたい。召喚はいえ、シャスター様率いる暗黒騎士団は人海側との和平を望んでいます。
The Dark Lord being named Shasta is maybe not the greatest thing.
和平だと。
驚いたな。この暗黒騎士の少女は俺たちと同じように誰かを救いたいという気持ちを持っているのか。
閣下、この場で信用一つ乱さぬのはお見事ですが、何かご存知だったのですか？
さすが副騎士長殿はお見通しか。
Oh, good old LaCroix. You know, everyone I know either pronounces it like LaCroix or Crocs or something stupid like that. Does anybody speak French in here? I feel like it's LaCroix.
ま、今から言うつもりだった。すまんなみんな。この話は本当だ。かねてより俺と暗黒騎士のシャスターとで和平の道を探っていた。
Where's Fresca when you need him?
ベルクーリを責めんでくれ。伏せておけと言いつけたのはわしじゃ。
And that's just Parisian French. Just try getting into that Quebecois. Oh boy.
実を結ぶかわからんことじゃった。しかし幸運なことに大門崩壊前に間に合った。これは吉報と言えよ。
So Cardinal and Commander Cooley have been secretly having backdoor communications with some of the leaders in the Dark Territory.
だがシャスターの連絡では来るのはリピアという暗黒騎士だったはずだが。ま、誰が来るかは問題じゃない。大切なのは暗黒界の奴らが聖号騎士団団長である俺との約束を守ってきたという事実だ。いいかお前ら、これは左門会議じゃない。
Okay, so why did you refer to it as a trial before?
和平の使者とも平和について話し合いを続けようや。
This all sounds like some idiot captain was making stuff up as he went.
和平という言葉にその場にいた全ての者たちに衝撃が走った。戦争を目前としたこの巧妙に少なからず俺は浮き足立つ気持ちがあったが、その道は簡単なものではないとベルクーリは言った。聞かされた情報を整理していくとその困難さがよく分かった。まずダークテリトリーの権力構造の説明は、10の部族の族長10校が統治者として存在している。剣闘士ギルドの族長イスカーン、オーク族のリルピリン、暗殺者ギルドのフザ、暗黒術師ギルドの DIL、 オーガ族のフルグル、ジャイアント族シグロシグ、そして山ゴブリンのハガシ、平地ゴブリンのクビリ、将校ギルドのレンギル・ギラスコボ、暗黒騎士団シャスター、彼らが10校だ。そのうちの暗黒騎士団と将校ギルドは和平寄りの考えであるという。 この2つの部族は他の8つの部族に人海との和平交渉の会談の席についてほしいと願ったが、首を縦に振る者は少なかったそうだ。
So one of those factions, there's just an entire like tribe of boxers, and they're the best. I love those guys. It's like, hey, we're going to war, and we're gonna box people.
残りの族長からはある条件を満たせば人海との会談に応じると返事が来ました。それが
和平会談は暗黒海で行うということだ。人海側は敵、
どう考えても罠だ。
ドロシー・イザヤ・エリシュバ、貴殿に問おう。人海の要人を手引きし謀殺せんとするダークテリトリー側の罠でないと言える証拠は。
This is why you don't send military leaders, you send diplomats. It's the whole point of a diplomatic summit. You send diplomats.
ありません。
和平を願い、死も覚悟の上で敵地にやってきた剣士には敬意を払ってやりたいが。
Where's Richard Nixon when you need him?
ええ、安直に話に乗って出る損失はこの小娘の首で賄えるようなものではない。こちらから死者を出して敵の根城へ向かわせるなど狂気の沙汰です。
ですが求めているものがその猜疑心を乗り越えた心の強さなのだから、正直に来い、願うしかない。召喚が敵地であるこちらに死を覚悟して乗り込んだのはそちらに敬意を払ってのことです。人海側は同じことができぬのですか。
Oof. Asking if humans can put aside their suspicions and trust people. That's a rough one, lady.
なんだと。
あなたの言う小娘ができたことをそちらはできないのかと聞いているのです。
Ooh, calling out their masculinity.
騎士の称号が飾りというならば仕方がない。ですがそうでないのならば、召喚がしたように危険があるとしても和平の未来を手繰り寄せる行動をとってください。今度はあなた方の番だ。決してたやすくはない、困難な道となるでしょうが、人海にも気高き志を持つ剣士がいることは我が身をもって知っています。ぜひ和平への道を歩んでいただきたい。
挑むような彼女の言葉に俺たちは少なからず動かされた。その後の話し合いではダークテリトリー側からの要求をのみ、こちらから死者を出すことで話が進んだ。人海側は和平使節団を形成し人員を送り込むことになった。
すっかり暗くなっちゃったね。
And Asuna opens up with a pun.
話し込むと時間を忘れちゃうよな。夕飯もまだだし拠点に戻ろうか。ありがとう。
明日の準備もしなきゃね。何を持っていけばいいんだろ
う。雨よりにお別れの挨拶をしないと。
If I remember correctly, Amayori is Alice's dragon mount. All the Integrity Knights have dragons.
いや、東の大門の方を見ていただけだ。
何か悩んでる？言いたくないならそれでもいいけど、話せるようなら言ってほしいかな。一応私は君の恋人なんだし、力になりたいよ。
This is so like the anime, and I've never actually read the light novels. I don't read manga. I don't really read in general anymore because my eyesight is so bad. The anime, they're not this coy about their marriage, like, because the games have like these visual novel aspects and like built-in sort of like dating mini game type stuff in them. They will bring up the marriage, but they're subtle about it, and you know, they want to like leave you with your head canon of being able to pick your girl, cause Japanese game.
ありがとう、アスナ。あのさ、俺たち今このアンダーワールドで人海側にいるだろ。今まではこっちに守るものがたくさんあったから、当然のように人海側でダークテリトリーと戦うしかないと思ってた。俺が知ってるダークテリトリーの住人ってなんだかすごく敵として分かりやすくて、ルーリットの村の山奥でゴブリンに勇士を傷つけられた経緯もあって、すっかり俺の中では悪い側だと思ってたんだ。でもドロシーと出会って。
ああ、うん、わかるよ。暗黒界の種族には殺戮と強奪の行動原理がフラクトライト AI の魂に付与されてる。
So Asuna has just used their in-world jargon for these super AI fluct lights that are essentially like souls in data form. You know, it's Ghost in the Shell style. Your soul has been copied onto disk, and the AI in this quote-unquote game that's actually a military project is supposedly, you know, of sufficient self-awareness to have human-level souls, quotations.
そうカーディナルさんに聞かされていたけれど、あの人の考え方は私たちと変わらなかった。奪うんじゃない、守ろうとしてた。思い描いていたダークテリトリーの暗黒騎士とは違ったよね。
俺が見て聞いたものだけが全てじゃない。もっと事態は複雑でたくさんの事柄が起きてる。
Fun little fact about the story writing here. Keep your hands off my floppy. 3 1/4 inch. Do you like the 3 1/4 inch? I kind of like the old school 5 and whatever, the bigger ones. It was always weird to me when they just like, oh, what's this little blue thing? This isn't a floppy disk. It doesn't even really bend. It's not floppy at all. Something that I really like about this series' games, like I enjoyed the anime, really, it's one of my favorites, but the the writer also writes for the games. So, like, the entire game series is essentially an ever so slightly alternate timeline. It's like the new Star Treks, how they're just like a reboot of classic Star Trek. The whole game series is just a slight timeline alteration from the original story. So, like, the very first SAO game is just the first arc, but in the original story, they get out of the death game before actually completing it. Like, it's set up as like 100-floor challenge dungeon, essentially, and they make it to floor 76 before they figure out a way out without having to complete all 100 floors. The first game is that story, but instead of getting out at floor 76, you start that game at floor 76, and you have to complete the rest of the floors to 100. And every game after that touches on different story arcs with just slight modifications and the addition of some original characters. And the fact that it's all written by the actual author means that it has, like, really excellent continuity. Boy, I'm just going on tangents all over the place. 2 games ago, they touched on these AI concepts and, like, AI being people. And I would have to look at the timeline. I'm not sure if that game came out after the author had, like, written the manga for this story arc, so that they'd already been playing around with these ideas when they did that game, or if that game came first. Point being, they've touched on, like, 2 games ago, kind of the main plot line was, can AI be people? Do they have rights? It's the Star Trek is Commander Data a person thing. That was kind of the main plot of that whole game. And we're getting back to it again here. Only in this case, it seems to be more like, okay, like, Kirito and his friends all treat these self-aware AI like people, but now we're having to face this problem with NPCs that would traditionally be viewed as just monsters, just enemies. It's like these things are typically coded to be killed in games, but they have the same style of bottom-up learning AI as all the NPCs. So it's like, these are actually people too now, but we're, like, on the brink of war with them, and traditionally are supposed to kill them. Ethics questions.
でも立っている場所や見ているものが本当に曇っていないか今すごく考えてるんだ。
私、キリト君のそういうところすごく好きだよ。
You're introspective. It's such a rare trait in people.
私も考える。答え合わせができる問題じゃないけど、考えることが大切だよね。きっとダークテリトリーに行けばわかることたくさんあるよ。大丈夫。君のことは私が守るもの。
Cue the bass line.
キリト君。
お？ 助かるよ。そうだ。
Did she actually give us an equipment item, or is that a plot talisman? Sunlight leaf talisman. We'll definitely need recovery items. Okay, the shops are gonna be open now. These are precious war funds. Don't be a prick with them. Okay, now the question is, how do I access my character menus? Here's my sub-menu. No. It's not options. Up, down, no. That's swing the sword. This is just gonna be thoroughly embarrassing if I can't even get to my equipment menu. Maybe it's not unlocked yet. So, Kirito is free to use any type of weapon. Everybody else has their designated preferred weapons.
見てってください。
Sacred Arts damage. So, earlier we saw Kirito do a little wind elemental spell. Those are referred to as Sacred Arts because this society was theocratic. So everything is sacred and divine and whatnot. There's no, like, secular language for spellcasting. Magic, not particularly powerful in at least the previous entry. It's just kind of supplemental. You know, even the attack magics didn't really do that much. You were much better off doing your standard melee rotations. You could use them to get special effects. So when I see something that's like bonuses to Sacred Arts damage, really not something that I'm looking for. Like, I'll throw it at the NPC characters that are more traditionally spellcasters, but it's not something that I see and I'm like, ooh, I can boost my magic damage, because it's just not that much. Oh, the highest defense is this earring. Good strength, good dex. Vitality. Oh, that's really good vitality. Hit point bonus. Some agility. Yeah, I like this earring. It's also the most expensive. That just makes too much sense to ignore. Yes, put it on. Hey! The menu really was locked out. Ah, gosh, now I have to know what PS5 button symbols are. Open the main menu with these 3 lines. Like, great, what button is that supposed to be? Is that the touchpad? Is it the options button? Oh, okay, that's definitely the touchpad, because we were doing that earlier. So is the 3 lines the options button? As I'm staring at this controller with my horrendous farsightedness trying to determine if there's 3 lines above that button. Hey, it works. Oh, I'm so old. Figuring out what button to push feels like a victory. Oh, really? So Kirito can dual-wield one-handed swords only. That was kind of his special thing from the light novels. It persists throughout all the games. Nobody else can dual-wield. He can't dual-wield anything other than one-handed swords. He can't, like, mix a sword and a dagger or anything like that. It has its own skill tree and its own special moves. Interestingly, they are saying that passive skills on his left-hand weapon will have no effect. That's interesting. Active, apparently, will still work. Oh, so Night Skyblade was his sword from the beginning of this story arc. He and Yu-Gi-Oh! There was a really big tree in the village that they quote-unquote grew up in, because again, this game has time dilation in it, and when Kirito first plugged in, he was like a single digits child. There was a big stinking tree, and they chopped it down and made a sword out of it. That's what the Night Sky Blade is. Forget-Me-Not, I don't think appeared in the manga or the anime. That was a DLC for the previous entry. I did not play the DLCs for the previous entry, so I couldn't tell you about that. I just know that one of the DLCs was called, like, Matricaria of Forget-Me-Not, so I assume that's where that comes from. Stats, parameters, buffs and debuffs, fashion options. Do you like fashion? How do you feel about skins? Okay, here's the talisman that Asuna gave us in that cutscene. It is an actual equipment item. 24 defense, bonus to critical. That's, you don't get a lot of that, I don't think. Blood Haze outerwear. Where did this even come from? Is this a bonus item or something? D-cut. What the heck is D-cut? Don't make any jokes. That's too easy. Got one heck of a dex bonus on it. If I start running dagger, I should probably equip that. So, strength has a direct impact on attack. I'm trying to think. I think agility has a direct impact on defense. I'm not. Dex might be evasion and to hit. Vitality is obviously hit points. Even though you will have items that buff both vitality and just directly buff hit points, which is always an interesting distinction when games do that. And by interesting, I mean peculiar. Oh, wow. Wonder if this was from one of the movies that I haven't watched, or if this is just something they whipped together for the game. I don't remember him having knight armor. Then again, it's been a while since I watched the show. I'm used to him in his black swordsman trench coat. Oh, and of course we have to have the reskins on the swords for his original pair of swords from the first story arc. Not sure what these two weapons are. I think Remaining Heart, is that? I don't recognize that name, but I think that might be the final storyline sword from the previous game. But those are just skins, so you know how it is. Skills. Yeah, so you're free to assign all your skill slots, including your auto combo. It's what they talk about with finisher skills, at least I think. Why are there 3? There never used to be 3. There may be something I'm not understanding here. Used to be you just had one finisher skill attached to your auto combo that would automatically chain into. I'm not sure why they have 3 listed over here. And I probably don't have extra skills right now. I probably only have what's on the palette. Yeah, no, wait. Double circular moment bite. No, Countless Spikes is listed under finisher. Starburst Stream. That's Black Howling Song. Okay, there's Starburst Stream. Yeah, okay, so between these 3 finishers and then what's on the palette, that's everything I've got. Oh no, I've got 8. Double circular, Inferno Raid? Is that set to... Okay, Inferno Raid's not set to anything. Okay. Alright, that's a high player skill maneuver. This combat really does get deep. Like, you have your auto combo, you have skill connects, which is just mixing in your manual attack skills at the correct time, but then you have branching skills, which involve just doing additional inputs at the correct time to get more hits out of a single skill. And I don't know if you're looking and how well you can see their little demo in the top right here, but every time you see like a blue flash on Kirito, that's an input timing signal. So like he charges up, fires off, and then there's this initial little blue diagonal flashes on his shoulder. That's for just another input that will cause a branch to come out. The larger blue flash at the end of it is for the EX skill connect, which is where you would input to fire off yet another skill. And like the whole reason to do skill connects is one, that there's less recovery time. Like if you miss the input timing, then you have to suffer the recovery frames before you can fire off the skill, but it also reduces the skill point cost to do the next one. So it's again managing your meter. I really hope all of this jargon is fascinating to you, because it's what we're here for. You know, that and the waifus. The Invincible style has a special feature, the aggro gauge. I feel like naming a style Invincible is probably a misnomer. So basically this is your tanking style. You're able to draw enemy attacks. Ah, they're actually recommending having more than one tank. Interesting. Not that that's bad, just an interesting recommendation. Oh, I have to apologize for not having followed your 14 streams that well. I'm not too hot to trot on that game. What jobs do you tend to roll with? Provided you're available to comment. Alliance style adds area of effect to combat skills. Drastic fast. Area effect to combat skills that only affect the user. Okay. So that's a support thingy. Arms. Looks like it's probably just DPS. Well, so as much as these games like have the different roles available to you, like really to maximize, you should be like doing offense yourself. It's kind of suboptimal for the player to be tanking in these, because your AI companions just aren't going to be as good at damage output as you are. But they are fairly passable at tanking. So it's kind of like, yeah, you could tank, you can do support, but realistically, you're just going to kind of be the DPS guy anyway, no matter what role you take. So I'm probably just going to drop straight into the DPS style from the outset. I'll probably play around with the other styles just for the fun of it. I'm a natural tank. I got my start tanking in Guild Wars 1. It's just kind of what I do. I feel like it doesn't take a lot of reflex skill to sit there and get hit in the face. It's more of a thinking man's play style. Oh, jeez. Just straight up have an invincibility skill. Nice. For all of 2 seconds. Okay, so you can be invincible for the duration of 1 attack. It's got a 5-minute cooldown on it. Good to know.
Hi, konnichiwa.
Oh, weapons. What weapon type should we use? D-cut, there that is. I wonder if that's just damage cut. It just literally just like blocks 5 damage from every incoming attack. Is that what that's telling me? I don't think it's a percentage. It's probably just a raw don't take 5 damage. Bows are real good, not gonna lie. Being a sissy and refusing to engage is a good way to play. They do actually force you in fairly close. Bows don't have like super long range. Kind of the maximum range on standard bow attacks is just inside the maximum range of most of your enemies, like big AoE or directional attacks. So you're never like truly safe, even when you're running with a bow. Everybody can kind of hit you from inside the distance that you have to be to hit them. There's 1 or 2 sniper skills that you can fire off from a safe distance, but everything being on cooldowns means that, you know, it takes you 15 seconds between shots, and that's just not practical for damage output. I wish I liked hammers in these. I am normally a blunt instrument guy. I did not like the moveset for maces in the previous game. I'm guessing it's probably still the same moveset. It felt way too slow for the amount of per hit damage that it was doing. I tend to favor the dagger. I like doing roguish backstab stuff. I'm gonna pick up a dagger.
いいの買えたでしょ?
I'll play around with the other weapons as I get drops. Or just as we get more money. Let's see. Do I have a full... Yeah, it does look like I have a full skill palette just right off the bat for dagger. Rapid bite, eternal cyclone. Armor piercer. I like armor piercer, that's a good one. Defense down effect is always a good thing. Good old rapid bite. There's an argument to be made that having like all the same skills game to game is a little bit lame, but it's also familiar. Like getting into a comfy set of pajamas. Just like, yeah, I know these pajamas, they feel nice. Oh no, Yam, are you okay? Ah, don't be a sissy, Yam. Sure, I'll train you. It's not like I'm the protagonist and I have better things to do. Okay, so they want me to get hit in the face. A bit harder to dodge normal attacks than it is skills. There's really no wind-up. There we go. I also thought block was on circle. They haven't actually taught me block yet. Maybe they decided to go without block. Thumbs up. Good job, buddy. You're totally not going to be the first one to die. So the main benefit to most side quests in this is equipment. Like cash and XP aren't all that important, but getting cool accessories is, you know, cool. That's a big old hit point boost. Not as much strength, though. I'm going to stick with the damage equipment. As soon as I actually get Liz in the party, I'll throw all the tanky equipment at her. How do you like this Japanese-style field command post? I always enjoy this paper wall setup that they put together. I see a shiny back there. Why can't I get at the shiny? I want it. I want it. Soldier Enhancement Plan. Able to cut steel pillars. Well, it's a bold title anyway. Below the document is written rejected. Not a surprise. I'm intrigued by this lingering emotional resources thing that these things are putting out. I don't really know what's going on there. It's not a feature in previous entries. What's happening, Fernando? Bakuli? Bakuli's actually wearing armor instead of his usual kimono.
Oh my god.
Onushika.
Eldry, you still a putz?
Hi.
Yep, still a putz.
Hi.
And she's still a psychopath. But she's our psychopath, so, you know, it's okay.
Yeah.
Being nervous about war is perhaps the most reasonable thing that's going on here. Oh, jeez, it's 1 o'clock. Yeah, I should probably call it quits. I don't know, my sleep has been all over the place. Like, if I was being smart, I'd have been in bed 3 hours ago. But I slept all weird yesterday. Like 9 to 2 in the morning. Just all wrong. Everything's wrong. But hey, good first stream back in like 2 years, 1 year, however many year. Thanks for hanging out with me. I will let you know if I ever feel like doing it again, maybe, possibly, in the future, at some point. Peace.